All right. Carlos, what are you sipping? What is this? Is this a margarita? Organic apple baby juice, huh?
It's like, yeah, it's like a baby pouch or I hear the scream. Yeah, it's like a baby pouch thing. I see my daughter eating them all the time, and I always taste it just to make sure it's good. I'm like, damn, these things are good. Why do we need the Snickers? Cheers, everybody. Mm.
That's so funny. I don't think I've had that in 23 years. It's been a while. Damn, you're eating it up, dude. You're sucking you're sucking the juice out of that like these ETFs are sucking the juice out of this price action on Bitcoin.
Oh,
they're
smells like a segue in here. You guys smell it?
I smell a little segue here.
It's a really hard segue in here. No, here's the adult version.
Oh, you got a Corona. I love it.
I got to lay that. Yeah, I got to lay that down as a base.
All right, so I'm looking at 61 on Bitcoin. 64 was the top today, then had a nasty fall down 15% to 59, and now it's back above 61. First of all, I think we have to acknowledge last night we went from 57 to 64
in like a day.
The fact that we're even at 60, if you bought Bitcoin in 2021 and you didn't sell, you're even. You're basically whole.
You're getting there. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I spent my whole day. I had so many phone calls today about Bitcoin. People that I haven't heard from in years.
Really? You had people call you to ask about getting into Bitcoin, basically?
No, these are people that I spoke to in 2020 that bought it, thought it was dead, thought it was gone. Some of them sold, some of them didn't. So I got a mixture of the like, hey man, I didn't sell, and like a screenshot being like, I didn't sell. And other ones being like, I regret selling, or I could have bought it a month ago and I didn't. And I'm like, great. No, I'm still holding. I'm not looking on my way out, but it's funny how it just comes around. Other people are starting to get freaked out on the other side, being like, when does this thing top out? When do we top out? I'm like, that's the question that we don't freaking know. I'm running like war game scenarios in here because there's like a minimum amount dollars that I want to take out, but I don't want to sell too early. But I don't know. We were talking to someone today, and we were debating, and this will be good to talk to with Jesse. We're going to try to get Jesse. We'll try to be live streaming for the halving. Now, these ETFs, the holders, the BlackRocks, the ETF holders of the world, they're incentivized to hold the Bitcoin, not sell it, not game the price of the asset, because they're making money on the security side, right?
What do you mean? Oh, on the ETF fees.
Yeah, like they're holding 9,000 Bitcoins, right? But they're making money on those 9,000 Bitcoins by the ETF movement. So I'm curious what the pullback's going to be and how much of that would be, because there's a certain point. I mean, institutions own more than retail now, so it's their game, right? And this is an asset that's controlled predominantly by these ETFs. Eventually, that's going to usurp all of the market cap. Then what you eventually get is an asset class that operates more like actual gold. It doesn't really move much. Gold does not move much, and you throw your money in there because you want to save 4% a year.
It becomes a real store of value that doesn't have volatility.
Yeah, and so then the idea of like having parties, like all that stuff is over. But does that mean? The reason why we were having that conversation is like, some of my buddies are like, I didn't buy enough. I want to sell out and then rebuy back in and double up my position. And I'm like, well, I don't know that you're going to get that chance. I mean, what is the likely level that we'll arrive at if and when there's like a massive pullback after the run up? I just don't know. There's so much I don't know about this. And I feel like having too much experience with the prior halvings could actually work against you in this environment, because you think it's going to do one thing, but that's all been retail. The 90% drops is retail finally capitulating. That's not a bunch of institutions that are making money on ETFs. So I'm very curious what the price action is. And I don't know if that means that I might sell a little bit heavier at the front end as the price.
Well, but how do you, after the halving event, every time there's always a like a parabolic move. There's like a quadrupling of the asset, which is why these $200,000 price targets are coming up.
Yeah.
So are you even considering selling before the halving if there's a pullback, or is it a pullback that won't like make you sick to your stomach because you kind of know this is what happens before the halving?
All right. I can't imagine a price that would make me sell before the halving. I mean, if it broke 100,000, I would just take up my initial investment. I think I would do that at least. There's almost nothing that would make me sell before the halving, but after the halving, it's anyone's game when we're actually going to get a big run up. What you need is the market to go through its cycles. You need the market to start absorbing the inflows of Bitcoin with no coins going out. And we need to see what's the new impact on the asset class when the rate of dilution is cut in half. You know, you got to look at these events. Like, imagine if after every earnings they issued a bunch of shares. I mean, imagine that. That's what it was like. After every earnings, they issue a bunch of shares and they start to dilute you. You know, people start to game that, and that's what we know that rate's about to change. So there's still a lot I don't know. we got to be really diligent on it. It's not going to be an easy thing, and it's mostly the stomach. It's like, it's mostly your stomach. Can you stomach the gains? You know. Look at that. We're at 61,000. You're staring at that.
When you woke up this morning, describe what your morning was like. Did you sleep all?
Dude, I thought I was the only one, bro. I lost my fucking mind.
Did you sleep? Did the baby keep you up a lot? Like, how was your
night?
I
was all right yesterday. I've been trying to get my day started earlier. I am really trying to just hustle right now, and it's good. I closed the deal today, so I was like, okay, cool. But I got up in the morning. I was like, okay, here's what I got to do today, and I saw an alert: Bitcoin prices up. So I opened up Coinbase. Balance 0, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
bro. How many people did that happen today too?
Hold on. So you saw the 0 before you knew Bitcoin price? Like, you didn't see
an alert. I saw Coinbase alert. This Bitcoin price action 60-something thousand. I was like, oh shit, we're in the 60s. How the fuck did? When I click it opened up about account balance 0. Bro, I had a heart attack. I was like, what? So that's got to be a mistake. I got to be on the wrong Wi-Fi. Changed the Wi-Fi. I was like, oh, it's still there. I'm restarting the computer. It's not right. I was like, fuck this. I got to go to my office and see. So I left. And then my mother-in-law was here. She's like, oh, look at the baby. I was like, I don't have time for that right now. I know he's cute. You know, I got to deal with man shit. It's like, don't come in my office no matter what you hear. I went in there. I was like, no matter what, it was just 0. And I started hitting up. I was calling the customer service. They were swamped. The chat wouldn't work. Basically, they were overloaded. And this is, it's just going to show. This is like a test of their systems.
But so this is what a CEO said. He said, we had modeled a 10x surge in traffic, and this exceeded an 1,000x scale.
There you go.
So what does that mean about retail? What do you think? Do you think they're starting to come?
They just sold so many private ledgers, private wallets that they don't even know. People are like, yo, I'm getting exactly. Ren right there. Time for hard wallet. That was my first thing. So I started texting people. Like, I texted VITALY and I was like, bro, hit me up. I was like, hit me up. It's what I say. It's kind of important. And then I texted some of my other friends being like, yo, hit me up. And then I just started texting, hey, are you able to get into Coinbase? What are you seeing? I was sending screenshots like, this shit's 0.
But did you actually think it was going to 0? I mean, you kind of knew it was a bug, right? Or you actually felt like...
No, I felt like it was either a hack, like I got hacked and I got...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, did someone hack into my phone? Did I leave my phone?
But did you go on Twitter and see that everyone's kind of saying the same thing? Like,
I don't even have time. I lost a lot of money. If that was that, I was like, I gotta find where my fucking crypto is. And then an error from Coinbase that said, hey, it said, we've received the reports that people are reporting 0 balances. Don't worry, your money's fine. And I was just like, I was making the joke that, like, I now know what it feels like to be Jesus and be resurrected from the dead. I know exactly what that feels like from my toes to the top of my head. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, I do have 2-factor authorization, but still, you know where your mind goes, right? When you see something that should not happen, you start thinking like, did we get invaded by aliens? Like,
right.
World War III, did freaking Putin send some nukes? Like, I couldn't process.
That'll wake you up out of bed, dude. If you're having a lazy morning, you see that shit, you're like, all right.
I did. I ran back here. I brushed my teeth, ran back here, got into business, got into that, and then the phone call started. So I was probably on the phone 4 hours out of the day. I didn't get done what I really wanted to do, but I was just.
Can you actually be productive on a day where not the majority, but a big part of your net worth is going higher by the thousands, by the tens of thousands every second? Can you actually be productive? You know, I think you're just stuck at staring at the thing. Like,
I could, like you posted, we went from 64,000 to 57,000 in a day.
Yeah.
So what is that? That's what is that? That's
about 18%, something like that.
So it's $7,000 in a day. That's a fuck ton to move that asset. That's a lot to move that asset. And then you think about that happening within 10, 15 minutes. If you're missing it, especially if it's at your price target, like once it's up over 100,000, I'm really going to be monitoring that. Because here's the other thing. When Bitcoin hit that massive blow off top in 2017, it happened at like 3 a.m. here. This is the downside of a 24-hour a day trading thing, is you can have massive price action when it's the Australians and the Europeans that are moving the price. And that's dangerous. But I happened to be awake that day and I saw it running up before my eyes. But if I wasn't awake, I would have woken up the next morning and it would have been over. So it's either that or like selling or putting limits, limit sells. But that can get dangerous too,
Right.
In the middle of a massive run up and you happen to sell because of a target it's hit. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to babysit it a little more once it gets over a certain amount. Peyton, I have a lot of coins.
You want to tell us how many coins you got currently?
I got enough. Put it like this: I was killing myself in 2020, and I was buying these things around $8,000-9,000. I mean, and I want you guys to put yourself in the mindset of what that is. The world is coming apart. We're in freaking lockdowns. I have masks. I'm putting Clorox on every piece of mail that comes in the house. My wife is pregnant. I'm working a bunch of jobs, and I'm spending almost all the money on these invisible, faceless, nameless coins that you have no idea what the fuck they're going to do. What a pregnant wife. I can't explain what that year was like. If you were a member of our Freelancer Finance, you'll see some of that journey. You actually see me and VITALY going through that. That was pretty fun. I watched some of those episodes now, looking back. It's been 4 years. We've been grinding at this thing for 4 years. What caused the surge? I think.
Yeah. What do you think caused the surge? Yeah.
Well, the ETFs are buying this shit hand over fist, right? And then you're also getting retailers starting to get involved.
So Coinbase went from number 31 to number 17 today on the App Store. Robinhood went from 19 to 16. Retail hasn't been here for the past couple of months, but I think they're coming back.
Oh yeah. Well, because we're getting close now. Once it's in the sixes, understand that 6 is the highest number we've seen in the first digit. So now people are like, it's actually we're spitting distance from the all-time high. Once it passes that all-time high, what you're at a point then in this asset class where no one that's invested in Bitcoin has lost money.
So here's a stat, and then I want to play Pomp talking for a couple minutes here. I heard a stat today. If you had a portfolio that was 98% cash and 2% Bitcoin, which is relatively, most people would say that's a safe allocation of 2% Bitcoin, 98% cash if you were super conservative with your money.
Yeah.
At any point in Bitcoin's history, that portfolio would have outperformed a portfolio that was just the S&P 500. 2%. So if you had 2% of Bitcoin and 98% cash, and that's so cash means like 0, 2% Bitcoin. Okay. That portfolio would have done better in the lifetime of Bitcoin than at any point in Bitcoin than just buying the S&P 500 with all your cash.
Wow, that's a crazy. Where do you
the Danger actually told me this.
I mean, that doesn't.
It's kind of insane, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem real.
It doesn't seem real because Bitcoin it's the best performing asset of like what the last, I think, of all time.
Best performing asset of the last decade, and usually have 3 years on, 1 year down, 3 years up.
And the S&P usually is 8 to 10%, right? I know last couple of years we got 20%, but usually it's 8%.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
over any 4 year period. Sorry, over any 4 year.
Over any 4 year. Yeah, I'm just like, right, Joe. It doesn't sound right. If you have the original tweet or the data to back it up, I'd love to see that.
So this guy, for those that don't know in the chat, this guy knows Bitcoin really well. This guy Danger, so I trust him. He told me the stat. I'm pretty sure the stat's it's legit. So
his name is Danger.
His name is Danger. But okay, so let's listen.
He's living on the edge. He got some crypto. A guy named Danger. He's all in on Solana right now.
Oh, hold on. He put the link in the chat. Oh, so he got the link from someone.
He's got the link. Oh, 100 trillion. Okay, yeah, I know those guys. Source. Yeah.
They're legit, right? They're.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason to make up these stats, dude. I mean, at this point, people aren't,
But it doesn't sound real. I mean, because what would a stock have to be to achieve that same metric? Think about it. What stock?
Here we go.
Come close.
So S&P Gold and U.S. 10-year Treasury bonds are on a nice risk-return line. Investors can do slightly better by mixing assets with capture correlation. Bitcoin risk return is in another universe. 1% Bitcoin plus 99% cash portfolio, 10% return plus max 1% loss, beating the S&P on a 2-year risk return every year. The S&P in a 2-year bond.
That's crazy.
I'll put this in the chat, but like, that's pretty cool.
And people,
it's pretty cool.
And there are people who are still hearing about this for the first time today. Think about it, or like or like taking it seriously. It's just the buying of the creation of the ETFs just opened up so many different pipelines into the asset class, both actively and passively, that it's insane. It's almost hard. It's almost too hard to follow. I'm just glad I've got a decent bag here. And we've been talking about how crazy things have been in the business. I'm happy to have it. It's coming at just the right time.
Right. Yeah. Here's Pomp on Bitcoin. Let's listen to him and then we'll keep going.
We should get him on the podcast. I think he would.
I actually talked to him a year ago. Yeah, I talked to him personally, and so I think if I email him, I might be able to.
But you weren't owning enough ETH. He's like, I don't talk to you. He's like, what yeah, bro. He's like, you whip out yours, and we whip it out, put it on the table.
Oh boy. Okay, so let's hear this. Here we go.
Before you do, let's take a like and subscribe break. Guys,
yes,
hit like, subscribe, share this with somebody, follow us on Twitter or follow us on X. We continue the conversation going. This is a good time. We're getting ready for a good year.
Nakamoto's dream, right? Because everyone now buying Bitcoin, and a lot of it has to do with these 9 Bitcoin ETFs. Yesterday, they broke a volume record, $2.4 billion, and it looks like it's going to keep going on and on and on. With me now, Pomp Investments investor Anthony Pompliano, and ironically, you talked about this being the driver of the next leg up. You just told me because of these ETFs. I guess too much money chasing too few Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, look, what we're watching right here is a reflexive move in price. This is a classic thing that's happened in finance. It's just now on a global stage, and retail got in before the institutions, which is an important component. And so right now there's about $570 million a day of net new inflow to the ETFs. And there's about $50 million worth of Bitcoin that's being produced by the network. And so if you have 10x more demand than supply, the price has got to go up to accommodate everyone.
So we got the table here, right? The 9 ETFs. I bet really taken off big time. That had a big chunk. So when the fees, part of this too is the fees are pretty low, right? They're trying to get market share right now.
The fees are incredibly low. Today already we've had $6 billion of trading volume. It's more than 2x what we've seen so far. And again, if we had $500 million of net new inflows coming in, BlackRock's funds got $8 billion. And this was like the first day or the first week of the launch. You say, oh, that's just people being excited and the pent up demand. We are now almost 2 months post-launch, and we're still seeing $500 million a day. Now, remember, we've got the halving coming up where we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day to 450. So at the same time that all of a sudden the global financial world realized that Bitcoin might be an asset they want to buy, and they're pouring billions of dollars into it, we're about to see that network cut their daily production in half. And so naturally, you get a demand shock, you get a supply shock, prices got to go up.
You said on your podcast that that Bitcoin, that this big move we're talking about now is sounding the alarm on inflation. How closely do you think Jay Powell's watching this? And what do you mean by that?
So if we go back to 2020, one of the things that we saw was Bitcoin's about $8,000 over the summer of 2020. And all of a sudden, there was a couple of investors, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, they came out and they said, I'm buying Bitcoin because I believe inflation is coming. We can't print trillions of dollars, and this will be the fastest horse in the inflation hedge bucket. They were correct. Bitcoin went from $8,000 to $64,000. But we got to $64,000, 800% increase, and inflation had not hit yet. Markets are forward looking. And so same thing in November of 2021. Bitcoin started to go down in price because the Fed started talking about bringing inflation down. What I think is happening now, part of it, yes, the ETFs are a big deal, but also we're seeing some data that's saying that inflation may not go away. It may be stickier, it may actually come back to some degree. And so there's definitely a cohort of people who are buying Bitcoin in anticipation of that inflation arriving. They want to be protected by the time the damage comes.
What about those who are saying because Bitcoin is going up is an example of too much money sloshing around and the Fed better take action because this is a red alert, just too much cash out there?
If you've got cash, the single most responsible thing you can do in the financial market at the moment is probably to buy some Bitcoin. You don't have to put all your money in it, but buying Bitcoin is a great way to actually hedge against the debasement of that currency. And what we're watching around the world is that governments are now over leveraged in terms of debt. They're going to have to devalue their currencies. And so you can buy real estate, you can buy gold, you can buy Bitcoin. But I think a lot of people around the world are saying Bitcoin is going to be the thing that I want to buy. And there's only 21 million of them. There's not enough full Bitcoins for every millionaire in the world to own. And I think that's going to keep driving the price up.
All right, there you go. KRIS, the same just in time.
There we go. We've been saying this for 4 years. We were saying it for 4 years before. I think just now it's time to just let it do what it's got to do. I mean, I'm looking forward to another catalyst that we haven't discussed is the approvals of an ETH ETF.
ETF, yeah.
Which I don't know what the timeline for that would be, but if that happens anywhere in the next 6-7 months, I mean, what do you think? What do you think happens to Ethereum if people are seeing what happened to Bitcoin? What was Bitcoin's price when the ETFs were approved in the 40s?
Yeah, I'd say like yeah. When they were approved like 40, but right before that they were like 33, 34.
This up real quick. That was like a January.
So Carlos, are you even considering maybe selling some of your Bitcoin and buying some good like distribution or dividend plays? This way, it
Corporate
supplements
debt.
your income. Corporate debt.
Not at this point. After the halving, it's all different. I want to see what the effect of the halving is. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm working on some strategies to start making this money, to start making these gains continue and create more and more gains, and to spread that out. So yes, eventually a lot of this money will make its way into the stock market. Thanks, Kevin. So Bitcoin's price, what were we? January 2024, right? It was like January. Yeah, we were at the 40s. We were at 40, 42, 43, around there. We were in the 40s. So since then, I got to share this chart. Look at this thing. It doesn't even look real. Check it out.
Celsius earnings leaked? No, there's no way these earnings leaked. That'd be weird.
So yeah, so this is where we were with the ETF around here, January.
So what, 40K basically?
Yeah, we were trading. This is what I was saying. These were some lines that I drew of different levels of accumulation. Look how far back this goes. I mean, it goes back.
When you say accumulation on a technical basis, how do you know there's accumulation happening? Is it just has to, the stock has to be, or the asset has to be depressed at a certain like for example, Robinhood was stuck at $8 for 22 months. People are calling that their accumulation phase. Is that what you mean? Yeah. With Bitcoin kind of stuck at the level?
Yeah, when you start saying that it's hitting a certain resistance, it's not necessarily like an ascending wedge. It just literally looks like a range, and it's just trading up and down in that range, just sideways, going up and down. Palantir did that for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Sitting at this range for a long time. The longer it sits at that range, when that positive catalyst actually comes, guess what? Everyone that wanted to sell Palantir at $16 had a chance. You've had months to sell it. So what does that mean? They're probably not going to sell. All these people are now, this is their new cost basis. A lot of these people at that range that becomes their break-even point. So they're waiting for higher prices. The same deal with this. It traded sideways for a while, and it does this. It does this at various points. And then sometimes if it does break out, like you saw here, it'll come back down into that safe channel. And that's what we saw here for a while. I mean, how long is this? This was from December to January 2024. So this is December 23 to, this is only a month over here. It was trading around there for a month. That's not long. Usually, sometimes it's even
not long at all. Yeah.
You could see it trading around. Tesla. Look at Tesla. It's basically flat, right? For like a year, it's essentially flat. It's had some ups and downs. But these candles are ridiculous.
All right. So that's what we got on Bitcoin, 61,171 right now. Chris, let's talk Celsius earnings tomorrow because a lot of people are curious about that, what your expectations are, and then we'll do some macro stuff with the inflation data we got.
I think Celsius is going to absolutely kill it tomorrow, but just is this real? I don't know,
reported?
man.
Holy crap!
No. This can't be real, man. This can't be real.
Hold on. Someone tweeted it at you right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Celsius is up 6% right now. Hold on. Was it good at least? Were the numbers good?
Yeah, 95. I seen the earnings released tonight.
No, they're up 6% on Robinhood, dude, overnight. This shit leaked.
Well,
this shit leaked,
wait,
bro.
Go back to the actual post.
It can't have leaked.
What do you mean it can't have leaked?
Someone just DM me Twitter.
No. I know what happened. I know what happened. The
Okay.
intern had so much energy from the Celsius energy drinks that they just put out the report. There you go.
Someone DM me Reuters pre-released their Celsius numbers. So what the hell?
Yeah, look. Hold on. Fourth quarter revenue, 347 million. Dude, this looks legit.
Wait, go back. Let's see.
No, let me show you. I'll show my screen while Chris is looking. This looks very legit.
Year 2023 financial results.
What do you guys think in the chat? Is it real?
I don't know, but apparently Portnoy's in Celsius. Did you see that?
I didn't know he was in Celsius.
I did not know that either.
You want him in anything. He's great.
Yeah, no, he drags a lot of retail with him, man. So
dude, this just looks like a real report. Like it just like on the face of it. It doesn't look like it's photoshopped or anything. And
I don't know, man. Market manipulation is always around the corner. You know how these things are, bro. So I'll wait for the real numbers to come out tomorrow. But bro, if it came out and that's numbers,
well, what were you expecting? Were you expecting 95% growth?
Yeah, I was expecting like the triple digits. The problem isn't the numbers for this quarter that are coming out. It's for the guidance going forward. The guidance, a lot of analysts are saying that it's going to be a lot lower going forward. So to me, I don't see that happening. I don't see forward guidance. Like the sentiment is they're going to go from 100% year-over-year growth to 30% next year. Like that's what the consensus is guiding for. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening, especially with expansion into Canada and the UK and Ireland and probably a few more places. They signed distribution agreements all over the world. So I don't think that that's the case, but things happen sometimes. But bro, this thing blew past all of my estimates in a very short period of time. My estimate was that they would get to $100 by 2026. Yeah, they're not going to be at $100 at 2026. Now they're going to be at much higher if they can maintain this level of growth. I know a lot of people think that they're overvalued, but if you look at their price to sales compared against Monster is growing at about 15% year over year. These guys are growing 100, right? And at the same time, they're in a product category bro, you saw the fucking DD I did on Celsius. I'm not gonna rehash the whole thing again. But yeah, it's a promising company. It's in a space that traditionally can really, really do well if they get past this hump of brand recognition and consumer adoption, because that's how it is with most consumer product, right? If you think of like the Pepsis of the world, the Coca-Cola of the world, or Starbucks or whatever, people will be like, yeah, but isn't there tons of competition, right? But at the end of the day, people, when they go for a coffee, where are they going? They're going to Starbucks. If they want to like a cold soda, they're going to go to Coca-Cola. They don't go to RC Cola. Even if RC Cola is half the price, people gravitate towards the brand that they know. So Celsius has got to the point where they have first mover advantage in this market, and they've got brand recognition. I mean, they're all over the place. I'm glad. You want to know something, Carlos? You're the one who actually was one of the people that really made me bullish, because that picture you sent me from the gym, I actually used that in a Patreon post. I don't know if you saw that.
They were all over the fucking gym floor, stomped on, and I was like, and it was the same day that you were like, yo, Celsius. And I never really paid attention to it. And then I went to the gym and I saw they had the freezer or the fridge with the Celsius thing, and they're all over the fucking gym floor. It's like,
I'll be honest, guys, I have a fuck ton of Celsius. Like,
how much Celsius you have? How much?
I'm not saying out loud, bro. I don't need to assume people think I'm like a prince in Dubai, bro. But
is it more stock or is it more spreads?
It is a lot of spreads, like way too many.
This guy
spreads.
gets levered up the ass on these options when he gets excited about something. Verizon, he's like, I'll just sell my whole house and I'll put it into Verizon.
I didn't do that. I did some good position sizing, but here's what happened. I bought the $65 calls, and those things shot up fast. So I said, okay, you know what? Now it's time to take a little bit of money off the top and redeploy it into Celsius at a higher strike. So the gains that I did on my $65 call, by the way, I have my $65 call. I just sold the $100 call against it. I took that money and piled it back into the $75 call. And now the $75 call is a fucking run up. And then I sold the $100 against those things. So I'm using my profit from one leg to go into another leg, another leg. And that's what's creating this giant monster position for me. And most of it is pretty much running off of its own profits. So it's not like
but when you say profits, you mean the premium from selling the call, not the actual profit.
Right. The premium, the premium.
Wait, you're doing this like a poor man's spread where you've already owned the call, and then when it hits that price, you're then selling an option against the value of that 65. So you didn't do it as a spread, but it's technically
So if you saw the B of A downgrade, when B of A downgraded these guys, they dropped to like $50, which made absolutely no sense considering their growth rate. And so I looked at the data, and the data pretty much clearly outlined that it was a little bit, I wouldn't call it misleading, but just misinterpreted. And so that was the alpha that I was going for. And so I was able to buy the $65 calls at like between like $12, like for a 2-year leap on this company. So I bought a ton of it. And when it rode up, the $100 calls ended up being $12 at one point. So it made a lot of sense to just sell the $100, because now I'm pretty much taking all my money out. I'm de-risked completely, right? And I still have that $35 spread between the two strikes. So I took that money and piled it into the $75 call. So now, as it kept riding up, the $75 call went from $12 to $20 right now. I think it's like 20 something right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, if you go to the $100 call now, the $100 call is almost like at 14, 15. So it's almost like I pulled out my cost basis in the $65 call and basically let the profit do the upside movement. And then I did the same thing with the $75 call. So yeah, we'll see what happens, bro.
Is this the number one position in the portfolio now overall?
Yeah, right now it is. Right now it is.
Wow.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, $2.
And, you know, you want to know what the best part about this whole thing is? It's all in my fucking IRA. So I am gonna be fucking loaded like a motherfucker and zero taxes. Zero.
That's the best.
The way to do it, right? That's the way to do it.
Yep.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, Chris got that pull-out game.
Yeah, Chris, post the games on Twitter so we all can.
No. I think I'm gonna keep this one
I
a
know.
little close to the chest, man.
Somebody posted like, "Hey, what was it?" They were saying by posting the actual dollar amounts, you create the same feeling in people that we, or at least me, I bitch about like what happens on Instagram and Meta. You make people feel bad about themselves. You can achieve the same results if you just post your percentage gains. You can say I'm up 80%.
Yeah.
No, that's a problem with that person, dude. If you can't, like, look at this, Jesse. When I opened Twitter, this is Jesse's. Am I gonna go? Ooh, wah. He has 211 grand. No, it's like if you have an issue with someone doing that, I mean, you feel bad about yourself, which is okay. I mean, you got self insecurity issues, but you can't feel bad about that. I know I wouldn't do that. If I'm up 200,000 on a position, I'm not going to post that. I personally wouldn't do that. But I'm not going to get mad at someone who's doing that. I won't be like, oh, post the percentage, not the cash.
Right.
It is what it is.
I mean, you look at Jeremy. Jeremy posts his ELF position, bro. He turned that shit from like $5,000 to $200,000 because ELF 10x or 20x on him.
I don't even think that's his real portfolio, though. I think that's just the public.
It is,
piece. But that's not like
that's the funny thing.
He's got a bunch.
Yo, that's what I'm thinking too, because I'm like $2 million. Like, I know how much YouTube pays and how much ad revenue, and he's got
but he's got kids, dude. He's got 4 kids or 3 kids.
But what do you think? The kids are sitting there like pulling out money like the ATM? It's money.
His house. We've been to his house. It's an expensive house. It's
he's a baller. He's balling. I mean, yeah. You know what? Well, let's not speculate on the guy how much he's made. But dude, it is. I'm glad for him that he was able to. Sometimes when you recognize these trends at a very early stage, you just got to let them do their thing. He's not an options guy. He's just straight stock and hold forever. So his investing style is really different than mine, where I'm more of, I can get
leverage yourself at the ass for these things. That's what you're going to do.
Well, no, but the first it comes with a lot of due diligence, and then it goes to that. And then eventually, I think as I'm getting older, I'm seeing the value of just buying and holding like for a long time. So I'm doing that more often now. So
yeah, but I think you like the hunt, Chris. You're an assassin. You like the game of it. You like the game. And then you like the leverage part of the game as well, because it's kind of boring to buy Celsius at 50. It goes to 70. It's cooler to buy the option and it, 3Xs or whatever. I think you like that part.
No, I like, what it is? I like the due diligence.
Double D's, the BBL.
I like, you know what it is? I like finding opportunities in the market and then capitalizing on those opportunities. That's the thing. Like when other people aren't recognizing a trend or doing the due diligence necessary, that's what gets me excited. Like here's an example, like Snowflake right now, it's being sold off in after hours.
Oh yeah, let's transition to that real quick. CEO Frank Slootman.
I did want to get the because I feel like on X, the Palantir community was taking a victory lap, and
that was me. I was the guy taking the victory. Look, the guy stepped down. He sold $200 million of stock in the last 2 months. He rug pulled the entire company. They hired this dude who's another. He looks like Sundar, and I think that's why the stock's actually down. Quite frankly, they acquired a company for fucking $150 million called Neva. Neva is like a failed search engine competitor to Google. And that's not being mean. Even the CEO said, yeah, like we couldn't compete with Google because ChatGPT came out, all that stuff. Apparently, I don't think they fired. They bought the tech because the tech is not proprietary. It's like it was just a regular startup. I think they bought it because they knew 10 months ago Slootman was stepping down and they needed a replacement. And this guy who worked in advertising at Google for 10 years would be the next bet. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on Slootman stepping down? Stock's down 20%. Do you think they deserve to be down 20%? And this guy is going to be running Snowflake. What do you think is going to happen with the company?
I mean, look, Frank, Slootman's still going to be the chair, right? The chairman is what really sets the thing apart. You have to remember, Frank Slootman is 65 years old. I mean, he's a young whippersnapper when he's talking, but dude, they pulled him out of retirement to run Snowflake for a little bit. So I think this is a good transition. He's transitioning to the chairman position, which is good because that's where a lot of the big time decisions do happen. This guy is going to be working on product for the most part. I think a lot of people underappreciate just how important Snowflake is. A lot of the due diligence. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm late is because I was after actually having a conversation with someone about what's going on at Snowflake and why it's getting sold off. They listened to the conference call. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet. I'm going to do it today. Mike Scarpelli is still going to be there for another few years. And
Did you hear what Mike did? It was one of the worst calls ever.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Mike was yelling at the analyst. Mike was basically saying, "Why are you asking me these questions? I'm not answering this stuff." Like, it was really bad, dude.
Is that the one you were live streaming on X?
Let me show you the 1 minute of it. I posted this on Twitter. I officially said I
caught you.
I said Mike Scarpelli should issue an apology. I publicly said that. This was one of the worst calls. This is how bad it was. Look at this. This is 1 minute. Listen to this. Here we go.
He called out Snowpark at a 70 million annual run rate 1 day back in December. I know that was just sort of like a 1 day statistic. But I'm just trying to think through that. I mean, the guide of 3% of revenue for fiscal 25, that's like, 95, 100 million. I guess it just seems kind of conservative given that Snowpark that consumption on Snowpark was growing 45% quarter over quarter last quarter. Just how should we think about the level of conservatism on that, assumption within your guidance?
Well, what I'm saying is we're guiding it to be 3% of product revenue this year, and you can infer what you want from the guidance.
Dude, did he wake up on the wrong side of bed or something?
Well, all right then. Thank you very much.
There were at least 10 of those moments during the call. The whole chat, it was with 600 people. They were like, "What are we listening to right now?" This guy. That was a reasonable question. That was a very reasonable question.
That guy sounds like
that
guy sounds like the principal of your college when he's telling you you don't have enough credits to graduate. Like, that's what he sounds like.
Because look, the CEO resigned. They make some random new dude the CEO. Wall Street doesn't know who the hell this guy is, and then they lowered their guidance. Dude, Chris, they're growing 22% year over year. Palantir's at 20. So this is not some high growing tech stock anymore. They lower their guidance significantly. Yeah. So the analyst is just like, we know you're sandbagging because you want the CEO to beat expectations. That's probably why you lowered the guidance to give him a layup. So can you just give us some clarity here? And he's just like, "Fuck you." And I'm just like,
hey, listen, there's a Sun Tzu quote, man.
No, dude, that's like not holding the door open for a pregnant lady at the grocery store. You don't have to be that mean to someone. Okay. When you're supposed to be that mean is when you ask Elon a stupid question in 2018 when he's trying to save the company. That's when the CEO is allowed to be mean to an analyst. That was not the situation to be mean. That was just rude, in my opinion. Like,
all right. Well, the Sun Tzu quote is, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. When you fall like a thunderbolt. Well, when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." So I think that's probably what it is. Snow is transitioning to more of an AI focused company now. I mean, because that's the flavor of the day, right? So there's a lot to Snowflake. All right. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but there's a lot to it that I think a lot of people missed on that call. I had a good conversation that I'm going to be exploring a little bit. I need to read it I need to listen to it myself and go through all the stuff because I literally woke up right before I got here. So, and you can see I just showered. So let me digest the news and we could talk about it probably tomorrow.
Do you still own Snowflake? You don't own a lot of it anymore, right?
Not a lot. No. But I am looking at possibly taking a position. I'm curious as to what Brad Gertzner is going to say from Altimeter.
Me too.
Because he has a really big position. And my thing is with moves like this, they don't happen in the dark without guys like Brad knowing, right?
Yeah.
Because they have that direct access to Frank. So they're probably just like, "Hey, Frank, what's going on?" Like, so Frank probably told him like, "Hey, listen, I am probably going to be putting some new people in charge." And so Altimeter, the likelihood is that if they didn't sell in the last like 6 months, that means that it probably bodes well for Snowflake's like possible future, because I really don't think Brad G would just keep the position this heavy in his core portfolio if that wasn't the case. Also, remember, Buffett is an owner too, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, I forgot Buffett's in it. Yeah. All right. The one other thing I'll say is when I was listening to the call, in Chris, you'll hear the new CEO talk. When they talked about AI, they were like, "Yeah, we're going to make sure companies can communicate with their data, they can chat with their documents." And it was just like, it's like there's a million startups working on that same problem. It really was elementary stuff that they were discussing. Honestly, and I know I'm biased here, but it really gave me appreciation for AIP because I was like, they're not talking at all about what it means to implement enterprise AI stuff, whereas Palantir's way ahead of them that. So I think they're sandbagging the growth. The stock-based comp as well went from 800 million to 1.1 billion last year.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of hiring. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
You guys have any thought on Mitch McConnell?
I saw that he stepped
down.
All
these old timers, they need to fucking leave, man. I mean, there needs to be an age limit at this point on holding public office. Like if you
70,
I think it's
70.
I think 70 is good. 70 is like 5 years above the retirement age. Yeah, senility starts to creep in. I mean, dude, I know my dad is probably getting hit with some Alzheimer's at this point. So, it's not that he's not a sharp person, but it's just a natural progression of life. Right now, we're trying to elect an 88-year-old to fucking president, who could barely.
When you were talking about that guy being old, I'm like, because homeboy is what, 5 years from retirement?
Yeah, and he's 65 and he's a multi-billionaire. Dude. He's got three.
Right.
He did 3
he's 70, and our president is 18 years older than that.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I mean, it's sad when you have. Okay, you remember what happened to what's her name, Dianne Feinstein, where during the last parts of her, like, she was literally just there. And you're like, hey, you need to vote for. You need to say aye. Like, just vote yes.
Yeah.
It's
really
like
sad. It was really sad.
And that's the same thing that's happening with Biden right now. I don't think Biden is making any decisions. I think people are just like, hey, Joe, sign this and eat your cone of ice cream, and that's about it.
But that tells me if they're still running with him and they think they can win, that tells me that the people that are actually running behind the scenes feel like, yeah, he's great. If we can get him back in there, then we've got another 4 years to essentially run the table, But the news is positioning this like Mitch McConnell is basically signaling that the party is being turned over to Trump now. And so they're finally just accepting.
Well, it is, right? Didn't he win? Trump beat Nikki Haley in South Carolina, and then he won the Michigan one, right? So it's GG, right?
It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Yeah, but but she's still in. Haley is still running. I think the idea is that she's still making money, right? They're still putting money into her campaign, and then when she finally suspends it, they'll find some other place to allocate that money, I'm sure.
So I genuinely think that there is a transition happening in politics that happens like ever so often, maybe like once or twice in a generation. So back in the day, if you go back to history, the Democrats were actually the party of Jim Crow, right? And basically the Republicans were the party of anti-slavery. A lot of people tend to forget that the Republicans came up from the conservative belief, which was, hey, people shouldn't be slaves, right? If you look at the formation of the Republican Party, that was the core basis of the Republican Party. So anyone that says
that, but yeah,
right now everyone was like, oh, Republicans are racist. It's like, okay, go ahead, check your history books. It's not exactly like that. But then again, there's always been this great flipping. So if you look at like JFK and the Democrats after that, they kind of flipped a little bit. And so now a lot of people say that, oh, the Democrats were the party of the working man. If you remember from, I think, probably 1960s to now, well, not now anymore, but there's a shift happening where the Democrats are now the corporatists and the elite, right? And the Republicans are fighting for the everyday man. So I'm watching some of these things on YouTube. So in Illinois, they had like in the city of Chicago, they had public meetings and stuff and public briefings. And one of the things that people were getting pissed off at was, how are you going to take care of all these illegals that are coming into the country, right? But not take care of your own citizens. And the thing is, if you look at who benefits, who's a tangible benefit for all this illegal migration, who is it? Who's the main beneficiary? It's not the Democratic Party per se, but it's the Democratic Party elite who own businesses and who need labor costs to go down. You know, so imagine right now you're trying to compete against, you know, a cheaper labor force. It's much harder for you to do your thing. Now, this is where things get a little bit complicated. So right now, Trump is appealing to the everyday man, and the Republican Party, the new Republican Party that's coming, feels a lot more like, hey, I am with you, rather than I'm with these corporate elite who are basically going after, you know, who are basically keeping the incumbents in power. Because if you think about it, the Democrats right now, a lot of them are multimillionaires. You know, they're doing exceptionally well. And instead of letting people choose, their entire platform is, you're going to do things this way because we think it's good for you. So I don't know. It just, I feel like there's an angle that's happening where we're seeing this flip from the Republican party being the so-called evil party and the Democrat Party being the good party to maybe something of a mixture. And then eventually they might flip a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's been very. Go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
No, there was a great quote about how Bill Clinton was the signal of that. Bill Clinton was the point when he turned basically forced the parties to switch. He turned Republicans. This is what I forgot who said it, but it was like he turned Democrats into Republicans and made Republicans like go off the deep end in this country. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really interesting, dude. I think Trump's winning. I think Biden has no chance against Trump. I'm not speaking on any election conspiracy or whatever, but I think if it was just a fair election, I think Trump's winning.
But that's the point.
Illinois now signed a thing with they're not going to allow Trump on the ballot.
What?
Did you see that?
Dude, that stuff's not going to survive the Supreme Court. They can try it.
I don't think it survives.
Yeah, but wasn't it supposed to go to the Supreme Court to finally say whether or not they can do this?
It's in the Supreme Court right now. Even the liberal justices are like, wait a second.
Stupid.
You can't do that. You can't at the state level change things so that it affects a national election, you know.
Let me see.
Dude, this stuff's not going to survive. They can't. This is on New York Times. There's no way they're like the Colorado one didn't survive. So
no, it's still in the courts, man. It's I mean, I don't think it survives, but at this point, all the stuff that I'm seeing is just political posturing to basically feed their local bases. Like, you know, like you look at Letitia James, right? She basically came into power with the intention of prosecuting Donald Trump. For what crime? She didn't even know, but she's like, I'm going to get Trump.
Show me the man.
That was
crime. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, that's the system we have now, man. We're, you know.
All right. Who do you think is better for the stock market 2025, Trump or Biden?
Biden.
Why?
I mean,
I feel like it's Trump. It's obvious. It's Trump.
No, it's Biden. It's Biden.
Okay. Why
Biden would be. Okay, so if you distill it down in terms of economic policies, Biden is a vegetable, right? We all know that. But whoever's running the country in the background, they're doing a fucking phenomenal job in terms of economy, right? I mean, stock market's ripping all-time highs. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have a recession.
Yeah, but bro, November 8th,
you know,
the stock market.
Even bro, honestly, this has been one of my best performing years in the stock market. And I'm like, bro, I might just vote for Joe Biden just to keep that fucking good luck juju going, you know? So
I want to short that position.
You know, so I'm just saying, even if there's like, you know, like some cabal of evil doers in the background running the country, they're doing pretty good for the stock market. So it's working. So I'll keep it.
Let's be honest. It's all buybacks. It's the massive amount of profits. They don't know what to do with it.
No, but it's also AI. It's also AI. Like that helped Biden a lot, right? ChatGPT doesn't come out, this economy is not anywhere near where it is right now.
If ChatGPT, you think so?
Yeah. Well, here's a good example, dude. This is actually really, I think you guys will enjoy this, and then we'll get back to that discussion. So Klarna, which is a buy now, pay later app, they posted a case study of the work they've been doing with OpenAI. I saw this last night, and I was like, okay, this is definitely this is not a joke anymore in terms of what AI is able to do. So let me pull this up right here.
I know what you're going to bring up, the lip syncing thing.
No.
I'll find that one. That one blew my fucking mind today.
Here we go. So this is what Klarna posted last night. This was a press release they did. I mean, these numbers are insane, dude. So they've been using ChatGPT's like AI assistant, right? The assistant has had 2.3 million conversations, 2/3 of Klarna's customer service chats. It's doing the equivalent work of 700 full-time agents. It's on par with human agents in regard to customer satisfaction score. It is more accurate in errand resolution, leading to a 25% drop in repeat inquiries, which saves them money. Customers now resolve their errands in less than 2 minutes compared to 11 minutes with a human. It's available in 23 markets, 24/7, and communicates in more than 35 languages. And they're estimating it's going to drive them $40 million in top line and bottom line profits in 2024.
What's their market
Those
cap?
numbers times 1,000 across the entire economy when AI really gets going, there's going to be productivity boost. There has to be. And whether it's Trump or Biden, I think AI is going to say
this is why you go long Amazon, bro. Amazon's the way to go. See, this is the thing. A lot of people are looking at Microsoft, which is good, OpenAI, which is really good. I mean, Google's really fucking shit up, but that's on the consumer side. I'm not sure how they're doing on the enterprise side, but there is so much value that AI can provide on the enterprise side, and that's probably one of the reasons why Palantir is doing so well too, in terms of like their total market potential, which is taking the data that all these organizations have and being able to put it through an AI filter and letting a lot of things be automated and run automated, you know? So like I've gotten stuff done on like some applications, and I don't think I was talking to a human, but at the same time, it's, you know, I got all the stuff that I needed done. So what does that tell you? You know?
Did you
so
guys
that's the thing. Go ahead, you share.
Did you see Sundar's reply today?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Did you read
that?
Did you read
Yeah,
it?
you can read it.
I think we should read
Bro,
it.
that shit was that was published by committee, man. That wasn't even like
not,
you could.
This was he used ChatGPT to say, what? You know, what should I say? I want to address the recent issues with problematic text and image responses in the Gemini app, formerly BART. I know that some of its responses have offended our users and shown bias. To be clear, that's completely unacceptable, and we got it wrong. Our teams have been working around the clock to address these issues. We're already seeing a substantial improvement on a wide range of prompts. No AI is perfect, especially at this emerging stage of the industry's development, but we know the bar is high for us, and we will keep at it for however long it takes, and we'll review what happened and make sure we can fix it at scale. Our mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful is sacrosanct. We also sought to give blah, 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 blah. It sounds so fun. I'm sick of these responses. Like, these are the types of responses that people who say Elon should shut the fuck up, this is what they want. They want this sort of dry by committee. I just wish this should have been a video. Honestly, he should have done a Mark Zuckerberg, sat on the couch, put on a pair of Google Glass and just talk to the camera. This is so old school. Does this not feel old school to you?
It feels like go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
This was like written by a committee, and they said, "Okay, Sundar, sign here, and let's make it public." And this wasn't directed at employees, even though that's what it was supposed to be meant for. This was directed to the general market and to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't, oh my God, it was leaked. No, this was sent out with the intention that it would become a wider release. I believe in actions rather than just words. So until that guy, Jankowski, whatever, gets fired.
Yeah, who is that guy? I was looking at him today. Who is that guy on Twitter?
He blocked you?
He made his account a private. He didn't just block you.
Well, he blocked me first. He blocked me like a few days ago when he came out with his statement about it. Said we made, what did he say? He said that these are.
First of all, who is he? Who is he in Google? What is he?
I can't see him anymore, so Chris will have to tell you.
I'll tell you right now what his official title was. Give me 1 second.
Because I tried to look at his account, like Jack KK or whatever, and it's private now, the whole account.
Okay, so Jack Krauszek. Hold on, Jack Crow.
By the way, Bitcoin guy, $61,671.
So just poking around. It's like that chubby that kind of comes and goes, like you're not really ready. You're kind of half watching TV. You're like,
it's funny. I'm searching for this guy on Google.
Fucking Google, dude. It still controls us. Like, this is on YouTube too, right? Like,
bro, it's got muscle memory freaking on my fingers. Sometimes, like, I tried using Bing and Bing just felt unnatural, so I went back to using Google, bro. I don't know. It's probably the UI. I think there's so much going on with that. Okay, so it's this guy right here. Why does he look different in this? All right, whatever. Okay.
And then I got one thing that I think we should end it off with.
Let me find his actual title. He's a product lead. basically.
But now
He's a product lead for Bard at Google.
It doesn't say that anymore. It just says hi.
No. I'm saying like on Forbes and all these other websites.
Right.
Yeah, he's a product lead at Google, but he was product lead for Bard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, just this is like one of the guys. Like, this is the guy that like it's like, oh, white privilege is real, blah blah blah. And he's just, I feel like a lot of these people, they don't even fucking believe what they're talking about. They're just trying to get some. They're just trying to get some pussy, bro. That's it. You know. Did you ever see It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that clip?
Wait, you think homie's just virtue signaling
dude.
To look
yeah, hold on.
Pathetic
hold on.
to the new feminist women?
Yeah. Let me show you what I mean. Hold on. This
is a great comment by Joshua Fernandez. I'm sorry, man, but I've been following him for a long time. I'm finding him unbearable. Thanks for being here, Josh. I'm happy you're here for Carlos, at least.
Like, did Strongman send you?
Someone said, "Oh, I went too easy on the Farzad interview today." Dude, shut the fuck up. I asked him about Tesla. He's bullish on Tesla. What the fuck you want me to say? Oh, Tesla. Like, what? Went too easy on him.
What's the problem?
Did you get?
Yeah, I got it.
There we go.
Thinking and my desire for an open dialogue were a dead giveaway. It was all starting to make sense. See, this generation doesn't even understand half the shit that they're saying.
There goes monetization.
They just want to be perceived as such. And who could blame them? I mean, they've spent their entire adult lives only 280 characters away from being tweeted into oblivion. Either way, I took a new tack.
We need to use our privilege as much as we possibly can to protect people. How can you not see that?
We need to use our privilege to protect people as much as we can. How can I not see that?
Because if we don't, who will?
Because if we don't, who will?
Exactly. What we need is a revolution.
Exactly. What we need is a revolution. Simply regurgitating back to them exactly what they're saying to each other in their ridiculous echo chambers is all they want. And then we can get what we want.
Yes, Daddy! Oh.
Okay, all right. Yo, I definitely did this in high school with a chick, dude. I remember she was saying some shit, and I was like, yeah, we got to fight the system, all this shit.
And you're like, let me DCA into your bottom line.
No, but see, the funny thing is, as women, I don't know, this is my personal experience. As women get older, they don't want that fucking agreeable guy.
No.
They want that.
They want a man.
I don't even know women like that, to be honest. I don't know women that are like that. I know that they exist. I see them on Twitter, but I don't.
Dude, no girl wants a guy that's like, my goal in life should be to dismantle the economic, white privilege ecosystem. Like, no,
nah,
dude,
bro, they're out there. They're out there, dude.
No, I don't think. But she wants you to make money and take care of her. She does not want you to fight white privilege.
No, but that's after 30, bro. In their 20s, they shave their heads and they get the fucking weird like nose ring and shit, bro. In 20s, I think, bro, we just got Me Too. Fuck it. At this point, I'm gonna just go all in and just, what
be careful. Your wife's gonna make you apologize. You say some stupid shit, so just wait.
It's fine. Whatever. No, it's just when girls are in their 20s, I feel like they are very susceptible to outside influences. I mean, guys are too. Don't get me wrong, but I think girls in particular have this, I don't know, this just weakness towards influence. And once they get past that, they get into their more mature stages around 30, they become a little bit more realist and they realize, like, wait a second, did I just, like pass up everything? And so reality hits them harder than it hits guys. For us, when we hit 20, reality is already kind of like, whereas girls, when they start hitting 30, that's when reality starts hitting. So, like I find that quote very interesting. When you're in your 20s, if you're not a liberal, you're heartless, yeah. Right? And if you're not, and by the time you're in your 30s, 40s, if you're not a conservative, you're brain dead.
You're brainless. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, here's the thing about, especially about the white privilege thing. When I was younger, I think I heavily believed in that argument. And as I got older, I just realized there are poor white people in fucking rural parts of America that are addicted to opioid and shit. Where's their privilege? Like, where's the privilege there for someone like that? And I'm like, well, I don't think it exists. Well, it's like, so then this universal blanket statement that if you're white, you have privilege. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, dude. Are there certain elements where white people may have certain upper hand? Sure. But the idea that there's a universal truth to that claim, I'm like, this is idiotic. And it seems like Google and a lot of these companies, they're just like, they want to make that a foundational truth. And they're not willing to come out and say that's not true. Elon is.
You want to know something that's really stupid? All these people, their main advocacy is don't stereotype people. You shouldn't judge people by their skin color. But when it comes to white people, that's exactly what they do.
Exactly what they do.
You're, so you have privilege.
And they don't,
the stereotype
is
all white people are well off. And
well, that's why the Google bias happened, because it's like we can't say anything bad about. We can say anything we want about XYZ, but not white people for some reason, right?
Yeah.
That was
the opposite. You can say
anything the opposite,
about,
right?
You can say anything about white people, but you can't say anything about the opposite, because they're considered like the oppressors. Everything is seen through the lens of, if you are experiencing any inequality, then someone must be oppressing you, and we need to find that person and make it equitable. I will disagree. As like a brown dude who tried to break into the business that I did at the age that I was. I mean, you didn't see pictures of me when I was young. I had freaking piercings all over my face. I was like a total rave kid, super long hair and stuff.
Told you, influence. He was influenced, right?
Yeah, I was also, in a heavy metal band. I was a skateboarder. I was living that life, right? But when I first got into corporate America, I did experience a little bit of that. But I think it was more about you just got to be in line with the culture. There's a certain way that you conduct yourself in those sorts of business environments, and if you don't, everyone's kind of putting on an act, and they know that they're putting on like the corporate act. And if you don't play that game, you're just not going to go very far. But I think that my own success is an indication that even if there is that stuff, first of all, it's not systemic. You might have a manager who's an asshole. You might have a coworker who's, is coming after you. But it doesn't mean that there's anything systemic in place that's trying to keep you down.
Right?
Because
if it is systemic, I agree with Zocold. It's more elites versus non-elites.
That I've been saying
you think it's about race and gender, when in reality it's about class.
It is not left and right in this country. It's the top versus the bottom, and that's a great trick that they pull, on us. It's making us think that it's left and right. It's not. It's the people with all the money against the people that want some of that. Period.
And usually the people that want some of that are stuck at the bottom arguing about all this stupid shit, when in reality you should be figuring out, how do I get ownership and assets, versus arguing about.
I don't understand why a lot of the younger generation is so focused on a bunch of social issues while all of this stuff is happening, while you're not able to buy a home. There's all these issues that are happening, especially in the finance market. And that's like the last thing that these people think about, because they've also been conditioned to hate money, hate the acquisition of money, and loathe the people that openly admire and aspire to the acquisition of money and wealth. But when the times get rough, I mean, what are you left with? When times get really rough, it's usually have something to do with your finances, and then that's the only thing that matters. Then all of a sudden, I'm a capitalist.
I'm gonna say something. It's a lot of this stuff is very culture driven, and this is the sad part about, and this is the great thing about investing, because investing can really like bring you from there to there very quickly if you do it in the right way. And it can help you go beyond what your limitations are in life. So as an example, there are some cultural things that I didn't realize until I was in my 20s. For some reason, my father did not start investing in his 401k earlier in his thing. And I was like, why is that, Dad? He's like, oh, I never knew about it. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I just never knew about it. Right. And so there is a concerted effort to keep good information out of the hands of the regular class. I mean, all these systems are built, but if you're in the know, then you get to extract that benefit. But if you're not in the know, you don't get to extract that benefit, right? So there are certain racial groups and certain cultural groups that have this kind of built into their society. So everyone asks, why are Indian people so rich, right? Is because there's a fundamental foundational knowledge within the Indian community on how to make money and how to save and all this other stuff. And it's part of our culture that keeps getting promulgated to the next generation and next generation. It's the same thing with the other Asians. They do the same thing. One of the things that I don't know if you saw the interview by Andrew Tate where he had with an Indian guy, basically his neighbor. One of the reasons why Indians are so wealthy, guess what they do? They live together, Sure. In India, if you go to India, there's like 3 families living in one giant mansion. Why? Because you're conserving space. You're conserving everything. Like Amit right now is living with his parents. He can move out tomorrow and say, you know what? I'm going to go out and struggle as a 20-year-old. Why? And basically just burn away any excess capital that he has. But no, he's taking his money. He's investing it. So by the time he's in his 30s, he'll be more well off than the average American is. So these are like the kind of things that need to be kind of explained. Like there are a lot of great people among even the African American community that try to bring this knowledge to the general populace. Like Killer Mike does an excellent job of that.
Yeah.
You know, Jay-Z tries to do that. I think that's the thing. Like, you really need to get off of this culture where it's just like, oh, let's just smoke drugs and pop bottles all day. Like, no, like you don't want, that is going to keep you. Yes, it's a short-term high, but generationally, it'll keep you poor and keep your entire generation poor, man. So I think it's just a lot of poor role modeling that happened very early in the 80s and 90s. And I think a lot of those cultural issues of maybe impacting the African-American community, I'm not going to say, that's not my job to say how that's actually happening. But I think when you see these, and this is one of the things I hate about fucking Snoop Dogg. I don't know if you guys know this, but I fucking hate Snoop Dogg with an absolute passion. Huh?
What did you do?
If you think about Snoop Dogg, he glorifies this weed culture and this existence from his, you know, in his earlier days when he was a Crip and he was just riding around and blah, blah, blah.
Girls Got Wild era.
Right. And that was what set the culture for a lot of people back then. Right. Now, if you look at him, his kids are in probably private school. He coaches like an NFL team and all this other stuff. So what they do in public is way different than what they do in private. In private, they are setting themselves up for an amazing life for their.
It's like Zucks. He doesn't let his kids use Facebook, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. But it's like, it's okay to sell other, like, and I hate this about Indian people too. Some Indian people, they'll say like, oh, you know, like smoking is bad, doing, you know, like drinking is bad, blah, blah, blah. And they all own stores. And so one time I remember I was at a temple and one of these guys was like, oh, Chris, you shouldn't drink. You shouldn't smoke. I didn't really drink or smoke really. So I don't know why this guy was lecturing me about it. And I was like, yeah, but you're out there selling cigarettes and selling beer. Like, you have a bunch of stores where you do that. If you believed in it so much, why don't you just stop? This guy walked the fuck away because at that point, what is he going to say?
Chris turned into a debater at that moment.
I actually don't see any hypocrisy in that.
You don't think that's hypocrisy?
No. I think that's capitalism.
No, but I think that's Chris's point. It's just like, don't try to be all social justice about smoking and drinking.
I think that, okay, I'll just say it clearly. There's nothing wrong with that guy saying you shouldn't drink and shouldn't smoke while he has a store selling cigarettes and beer. Because he's saying if you're going to buy it anyway, buy it from me, but I'm not going to get sucked into that. I think what he's saying is, look.
No. Let me tell you what it was. Carlos, let me tell you what it was. For us Indian people, he was like that. He would never go up to another kid and say, oh, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't smoke. You know what? That's the hypocrisy. You understand? Where he sees other people as consumers, he sees me as part of his community. So he says to me, like, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't smoke. He'd never say that to the 16, 17-year-old kid that comes through the door. Well, maybe hopefully he says that to the 16-year-old kid, but to the younger, but for the younger people. You know, like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
My dad told me to never smoke or drink, but he was selling that shit for 15 years, right? So,
you know, it just, I don't know. It's just, I
don't see anything wrong with that, because you would tell your kids, a certain way, and you're like, look, this is how we do it. I know that the masses are going to do this, or your friends are going to do this, but I want you to do this. This is how we do this in our family. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
The point is, I think everyone has to worry about their fucking money versus all this other shit. And the 530 people that are here, I think, are part of the 0.0001% that actually care about their money, and the rest of the world just doesn't.
I got something. We should end on this. This was really cool.
This discussion had no stocks whatsoever other than the first 5 minutes. It was just a discussion on life.
Did you guys see this?
No.
Is that
okay? So, all right. So real quick, I'll do the preface. So Elon Musk was like tweeting at like 3 a.m, and he was tweeting with Sawyer Merritt and a bunch of people. And they were talking about the new Roadster. He was saying that the new Roadster is going to be absolutely sick. They're like, oh, is it going to have a 0 to 60 time under a second or 1 second? And he's like, it's going to be under a second. It may actually fly, blah, blah, blah. So they're working with SpaceX to put like cold thrusters. So you know the thrusters that actually move the Starship as it's those thrusters, right? They're just like cold air thrusters. they're going to put one of those on the back of the new Roadster to give it a 0 to 60 time under 1 second. So this guy who puts up all these crazy, like physically correct, like using physics, he puts them into models and sees, well, what would that actually look like? And this guy did a video of what it would look like with the new Roadster with the cold air boost, racing one that doesn't have it. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's pretty cool. You share? You see it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
And this is a hypothetical, right?
That's AI generated.
Yeah,
right?
this is CD. This is CG. Yeah.
Dude, if it actually flies, that shit's gonna be crazy.
This is what it would look like.
No
Well, this
way.
is what it will look like.
Elon already said there's no flying.
Damn. That
So
is a little bit off the ground a little bit, yeah.
You're at a red light and that thing fucking.
There's two fundamental problems to this, man.
Are you
Number one, the fundamental problem is even if a little bit of air gets under that car, do you know what's gonna happen if you're driving that fast and air gets under that car? It's gonna just scoop up, bro. You can't. I don't know.
Is that how gravity works?
No. I mean, look, the aerodynamics of the vehicle are pushing it down. Like that car, when it's accelerating with that much downforce, if it weighs 4,000 pounds, to the downforce, it's probably another 1,000 pounds of downforce that's generated, especially at those speeds.
No, but that's
why they're going to take off. Yeah. I mean, if you do that on a hill, you're an idiot. You're going airborne for absolute sure.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize I got to go to Cashflow Chronicle. See you guys.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Later.
Good night. Bye, one.
Anyway, yeah, tire pops and you're gone. FX16 with